We're going to go over the restraint rule. Two different concepts we're going to go over. One, it makes things more conservative, and the other one is more aggressive. So the restraint rule, by the name you can tell it's going to be on the conservative side of things. So this is on page 94. So the concept behind this was we wanted to be in line with what good trading would be, and that's not plunging 100% in one day. So we wanted to make sure that all of our signals triggered at the same time. We actually had the market prove itself before we went from 0 to 100 in one day. So the rule is, it's not to help you make money, it's to help you stay in line with logical, sound money management, as well as to stay in line with what Bill would do, and to make sure you don't get chopped up any more than the market's going to do to you. So to avoid getting invested too fast, limit exposure to a maximum of +2. So that's 55%. It's still heavy in the market. A couple ways to remove the restraint rule: if the index makes significant progress above the close of the initial follow-through day, or a buy signal 4 is triggered, so you're trending above your 21-day moving average, so that 5 days or more above your 21-day is telling you that this follow-through is for real and you can lift the restraint. So significant progress is defined as a percent requirement needed for the follow-through day based on volatility. And right now we're in normal, so that's 1% or higher. If you go 1%, make 1% above the close of your follow-through day, then we're going to lift the restraint. Or if you're trending above, then we're going to go ahead and lift that restraint. This only applies if prior to the follow-through day that our market exposure was 0. And if the buy switch turns on due to closing above a prior high, which Charles will talk about in a little bit, then the restraint rule will apply until the index makes significant progress, so in this case 1%, as defined by the percent requirement needed for a follow-through day. So we're going to circle back to this. So if this is confusing, it should be confusing to you because we haven't gone over that yet. So we'll come back to that. Let's go over a standard follow-through and how it works. This is on page 95. So we have a couple signals here. So we have a rally day, we have an accumulation day, and we have a B3, but we haven't had a follow-through day yet. So those are buy signals that we're not acting on. But on the 7th day, you do get a follow-through day, 1.99%. So we're going to go to a +2, even though we have 3 buy signals, 1, 2, 3. We want to make sure that the market is for real, that it's actually going to work. In this case, we can see that it works, but at that time, you don't know that. And so you don't want to go to a +3, which would be 75% in. You want to stay at the 55. Now, on this day, we get a B4 because we're trending above the 21-day moving average, and the index has made significant progress. So it's up 4.3% above the close on that follow-through day. So this is 4.3% above this. So we only needed 1%, or in this time frame we might have needed 1.25, but we've made enough progress, so we're going to lift that restraint. These buy signals, any ones that we weren't using already that we were keeping at a +2, we're going to go ahead and use those at this point. So it's just a way of slowly getting in, and it's more the way we really operate. 55% isn't slow, but it's slow enough. So now let's go to page 96. So on this day, we have a rally day over here. It all happens on the same day. We get a B1, which is our follow-through day. We get a B3 above your 21-day and a B6 above your 50-day. So you have 3 signals, and that's what is in the parentheses there. So that's your total 3 signals you have. But we're only going to act on 2 because our restraint is on until we either make progress above this level or we're trending for 5 days above the 21-day. So you can see at this point, you get another follow-through day here. So this is a 17th day follow-through day. So now we're at a +4, but we're not acting on it yet because we don't have enough evidence. We haven't made enough progress. Here, we actually go all the way down to a 0 because we have an S1. We undercut the low of the follow-through day. We have an S5, which is below the 21-day. We have an S9 that's below your 50-day. And we have a bad break that Charles talked about. So this is where it helps you. So rather than being at 90% in, then having to go right back to 0, it's helped you, slowed you down. And then we get more evidence here. After that, the market comes back. We get a B2, an additional follow-through day, plus we're above the 21-day, so we're at a natural +2 again. Our restraint is still on, but it's not doing anything because it allows us to go to a 2. Then you get another day of strength, and this is a 23rd day follow through, so another B2, and we're back above the 50 day, and it's uptrending, so it's a B6, and we have that higher high, so we go to a +5, and the restraint is lifted because of the progress that we've made above that initial follow through day. So enough progress has been made, so you either get it trending or you get the power. So you can kind of see this is a good example of why you would want to have a restraint on there, because if you plunge here and then you sell it all here, it's going to be very hard psychologically to do what you're supposed to do and be flexible and buy it all back right here. And that's why we have this rule in there. It's just to slow you down. You want to stay in line with what the system is telling you to do. Now keep in mind, as Charles said, sometimes you're not going to have enough merchandise out there to buy. So if you can't find something worth buying, there's a couple of approaches. You could either just sit with that cash, or some people might want to buy some of that in the queues. Bill wouldn't trade that way, but it's the way you can trade. There's tons of liquidity. It's the most liquid thing out there almost, but it's not going to do as well as the CanSlim stock is going to do. But it could be getting you invested while you're looking for a stock to break out. Just food for thought. Okay, page 97. So here we get a rally day, and we get 3 buy signals, but we're going to only use 2 of them because we want to make sure we get some follow-on with either a percent move up or a trend. We obviously don't, so we're kicked out of the market with our sell signals here. So you have your S2 here, you had your bad break, you had all these signals telling you go ahead and get out of the market. So it's good that we stayed at 55% instead of 75%. So it's times like this that it's going to help you. If the market is for real, it's going to slow you down. And if it's going to work out, it's going to slow you down a little bit. So you lose a little bit, but it helps you in cases like this. And I think when we tested it out, overall it didn't really improve the performance. I think it might have even hurt it slightly over the 40 years, but we wanted to have this rule in there because it was more realistic, and we didn't want to teach something that wasn't realistic. So any questions before we move on to the next one? Yes, sir.
So if I'm at a +2 and I'm 55% invested, and I get the 3 sell signals, and the individual stocks I bought, so there's 3 stocks, respectively don't violate, what 5, 8%, whatever your porosity is there. Am I just blowing out and moving to cash?
It depends, and that's a very valid question, and we're going to cover that in the what if. The combination of the what if and the animation will help answer that question, which I know is on everyone's mind here. So we're going to get to it, and it's a little bit of both.